welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl, and today I have been picking more vegetables out of my garden. We're coming to a time that there's just a lot of tomatoes ripening. I have been picking some of my peppers, and as you can see, I have another basket full of different variety of tomatoes. We've got the cherry tomatoes, the Roma tomatoes, the large slicer tomatoes, and so then I've also been picking my peppers. This is the Big Bertha pepper. It's quite a nice sized pepper. I also have a couple of the California Wonder peppers. Again, really nice sized peppers. I've been picking lots of jalapeno peppers off of my plants. These are the dragon tongue bush beans. We're at the end of the dragon tongue bush beans. So after I picked these today, I actually took the plants out of the garden. Now I didn't pull them right out of the ground. So what I do with the bean plants is I cut them off at the base and I leave the roots in the dirt so that they can decompose into the dirt, and that'll put those nitrogen nutrients into the soil for next year's planting. So, and I'm going to do the same when I take out my snap peas. Actually, these are the pole snap peas, and I will cut them off at the base. They're almost finished as well. We've come to the end of the season for the peas and the beans. The dragon tongue bush beans, I noticed in my cold storage room that I only have 1 jar of spicy green beans left, and we like to eat them by themselves or use them as a garnish. A lot of people will use them to put in Caesars, and we've done that, and they're quite nice. So I'm going to try these dragon tongue bush beans as spicy green beans just because of how pretty they look with the purple and cream flecks streaks going through them. I thought that might make a nice presentation in the jar doing the spicy green beans. For all of my peppers and my jalapeno peppers, I want to use those in my salsa. So that is my plan. Tomorrow I am planning to make salsa. The tomatoes are from the garden, the peppers are from the garden, but as far as the onions go, my onions aren't ready to be picked. So I actually bought onions to put into the salsa. So not everything is from the garden like as I would have planned, but like I say, the tomatoes aren't ready to be picked. So I'll when I do pick, my onions aren't ready to be picked, but when I do pick my onions, I will dry them and cure them, and then I will use them as storage onions to use in cooking also. I've picked quite a few cucumbers. I think I got about a dozen cucumbers here. With the cucumbers, my goal for that is to make mustard pickles. And with mustard pickles, you need a lot of cucumbers and onions. That's basically the vegetables that go into mustard pickles, which I also noticed that I only have 1 jar of mustard pickles left, and we like to use mustard pickles when I make ham. We will put it over ham, and it's really nice over that. Another thing I would like to use my jalapenos for is to do the cowboy candy. Also, I went to a friend's place and I had some what she had did was she had taken a cracker and put cream cheese on the cracker, and then you put a couple of these cowboy candy jalapenos on it, and it was really nice. So I'd really like to make some of the cowboy candy also. So I just, kind of wanted to show you what I've picked. Planning to do another garden tour, showing things that I have taken out of the garden and picked. I've picked all of my early carrots that I had planted at the beginning of May. I have all of those are picked out of the garden now, and a lot of the beets that I planted at the beginning of May too, I have picked those out of the garden too. I still have other beets that I planted after. I think I started them probably about the third week in May, something like that. I had planted more beets and more carrots, so I still have 2 more rows of beets and 2 more rows of carrots that are don't need to be picked right away. I did thin them out last weekend, and still been picking lots of the kale too. I'm getting ready to start picking some of my squash. I've noticed that the spaghetti squash is getting quite large, so I'm thinking about picking that. Also my mashed potato squash. I was just going to, I've never grown mashed potato squash before, so I just kind of wanted to do some research on when exactly is the best time to pick the mashed potato squash. And then because it's a winter squash, and the same with the spaghetti squash, I just want to make sure that I'm curing the mashed potato squash properly before I bring it into the house. I do know that you have to once you've picked your spaghetti squash, you have to cure it for a week to 10 days. They say out in the sun, but depending on what your weather, you definitely want to check out your weather forecast to find out what your 10-day forecast is going to be able to make that plan to have those out and not have to worry about them getting wet and then not being able to cure properly. So check your weather, make sure about that too. So it's the next day, and today I am turning all of these tomatoes. We have quite a variety of tomatoes, and today I'm turning all of this into salsa. First, I've got my tomatoes in a pot of boiling water, and so I'm getting the peels off of them. So you put them in the boiling water until the peel splits, and then you take them out of the boiling water and you put them into a sink of cold water. You peel the peels off, and then I'll chop them up. I need 10 cups of peeled, chopped tomatoes. So now I have 5 cups of chopped onions. These are store-bought onions because my onions are not ready to be picked. But these peppers, these are my peppers. So the one in the front that I haven't cut, that is one of the California Wonder peppers, and that's from out of the garden. You know, that's a pretty nice pepper actually, a good size. And then in behind, these are all my jalapeno peppers, and I'm still doing my tomatoes, getting the peels off of them, and I've done quite a few. I have quite a few in the sink so far. So there we go. We have the finished product. I got 13 pints of salsa this year. That's all I'm doing because I still have salsa from last year to add to it. So that is it. So after I was done chopping up all the tomatoes, I took the skins off, chopped up the tomatoes, put them in the pot. I ended up with 20 cups of tomatoes, and the recipe called for 10, so I doubled the batch. So after I did the tomatoes, I had to chop more onions because you want 5 cups of onions per batch, and 5 cups of green peppers per batch, and 2.5 cups of hot peppers, and I used the jalapenos, and they were seeded and deveined. 3 cloves of garlic per batch, fresh garlic, and the garlic I actually got from my sister out of her garden. So that was something else from the garden, directly from the garden, not my garden, but it was from a garden. So the only thing that I purchased was the onions. that for as far as vegetables go that went into the salsa, because I didn't have any ready. Out of my Bernardin home preserving, I love this recipe book. I refer to it quite a bit. Okay, so 10 cups of cored peeled tomatoes, chopped, 5 cups of chopped seeded green bell peppers, 5 cups of chopped onions, 2.5 cups of chopped seeded hot peppers, and that could be like a hot banana pepper, a Hungarian wax pepper, serrano, or jalapeno. 1.25 cups of cider vinegar, 3 cloves of garlic pressed, 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, so I forgot about that, a tablespoon of salt, and a teaspoon of hot pepper sauce. It says it's optional. This is a zesty salsa, and I did taste it, and it has a little bit of kick to it, but not crazy at all. It's very manageable. So that's my salsa recipe that I get after I had to bring it to a boil, and then let that come to a full boil, and then turn it down to simmer, and then you let it simmer for about 10 minutes so that it can thicken slightly. Put it into your jars, and then you put it into a hot water bath canner for 15 minutes as well. And that's my end product, 13 pints of salsa out of 20 cups of tomatoes. So it turned out pretty good, actually. And now I'm making shepherd's pie for dinner. We're having Jamie's mom over for dinner. He's gone to pick her up from the seniors village, and she just comes for dinner, has dinner with us, and then she pretty much wants to go back to the seniors village not too long after she's done her dinner. She has vascular dementia, so she wants to come and be with us, but then she, I don't know, gets a little bit uncomfortable and thinks that she needs to go back within an hour after being here. So she doesn't last usually very long here, but that's okay. Anyways, thanks a lot, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.